Birdie, man. Hey, can you vote?
We're live?
Yep. Oh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of TFB. Thanks. Sorry for the long hiatus, but we're back. Once again, I'm Russell Dolek from the Yap in the FSM, joined by
Sammy Otis from Chuuk.
Suinaga from Chuuk.
and this is our show today. We got some good topics, and we'll hand it over to Sammy to start us off with a few quick ones.
Okay, let's start off with some rapid fire stories. We'll just go through them really quickly, and we'll have the links down below. You guys can read the whole thing. There was a formerly homeless teen who used to live in Hawaii, moved to Washington. AJ Yosuo is his name. And he was homeless. He wasn't doing too well in school, but then he found basketball. And basketball kept him off the streets, motivated him to do better. He wants to be like a good example for the younger generation. Great read out of Washington. Go check that out. I just want to add anything to it.
It's kind of like the Micronesian, what's that movie? Blindside?
There you go.
It's still going. The story's not over yet. Yeah. Marcy, anything?
No.
Okay, next one. FSM repatriated some Vietnamese immigrants. They were there for about 8 months. However, there are still some Indonesian immigrants, and maybe were they Nepalese, the other ones? I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But they are still in Yap, and they washed ashore in Yap over a year ago. Not too sure what's going on there. I believe they said that they didn't have documents, and they were unclear as to where they actually wanted to go back to. Check that story out also. It's pretty interesting. Next story. Kushayan man saves family from burning home. This is over in Washington again, right? Kushayan man, his neighbor's house was burning. The daughter called him to go save them. He ran in there, saved the family. Beautiful story. Check it out. And then a couple things going on here in Honolulu, though. Celebrate Micronesian Festival. Where was this?
This is going to be at the Honolulu Museum of Art School. It's on Victoria Street, right by Ward. It is happening from 18th to the 20th. So the 18th Friday, from 5 to I believe 9-ish.
5 a.m.
5 p.m. to 9 p.m. This is gonna be
that's one long festival.
Micronesia films. So they're gonna have documentaries, a couple of films. It will be also at the museum. And on the 19th, which is the actual celebration day, there's gonna be, I believe there's gonna be a fashion show, maybe a lot of booths. Local artists might have some tables out there. This is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So come through. Everyone's welcome. Open to the public. Free. That's the best part about it.
Right.
And on the 20th, it's the Micronesia Celebrate Women's Day. So they're going to have a lot of workshops throughout the day. I think I'm going to be doing one workshop, which will be learning to use smartphones. We're not too sure what the topics are, but I'm going to be covering things like how to use, the basics of maybe even social media, so they can follow us on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else.
Plug us.
Your voice is good.
All right. Anything else, you guys have any other catch up? Nothing? Okay.
Been sick, so
Yeah, I'm sick right now. Sorry.
yeah. Sorry if we don't sound too well today.
Yeah. Anything else? No? Okay. We have three main topics to jump into. Let's just jump right into it. Okay,
Yeah,
the first
go on.
one, it's a recurring topic. It's the FSM Resolution to end the Compact of Free Association with the United States.
It's back.
It's back in the limelight because Guam had a hearing, and the Chief of Staff, Mr. Falcon.
When you say Guam,
Oh yeah, it was some FSM citizens living in Guam
okay.
hosted a hearing. So they invited the president's chief of staff, I believe Asterio Takesi was their ambassador, and they went to Guam, and then they had to explain the resolution, explain what would happen, and reassure the folks over there that we still need that election to terminate the compact. I'm sure that's probably the most important thing to take from that meeting, but it's still out there. But we bring this up because They're going around giving, like, explaining things to folks, but also during that meeting, they had a survey, and they asked the people who turned out, "What do you think about the resolution?" And overwhelmingly, they said, "We don't like it. We don't want the compact to be terminated." Along with that, they also asked, "What political status are you in favor of?" And they said overwhelmingly, "We would want the FSM to become a territory of the United States."
So pretty much Guam
Guam,
or
CNMI.
CNMI.
Yeah. So anything that you guys want to talk about specifically there? Chief of Staff, Guam, hearing, the surveys. Russell,
Well,
let me go.
first I want to say the whole reason, I think, not the whole reason, but part of the reason that this resolution even came up was just this whole like atmosphere in the world in regards to immigration. I think, especially in Europe with all the refugees, in America, and then here, like in our region, I think it's just Guam with the Micronesians that are visiting there. So I think some of the stuff, the feedback, and this is kind of a pushback, like our status now is being looked back upon, and just, there's other parts of our relationship with America that is at play. But I think even in the past resolution that they made, they were talking about immigration a little bit. So I think that's part of the climate right now. And then just the push, like I was really surprised to hear that they want to move to the territory, but these are people in Guam that have been living in Guam.
Right. And just to be fair, I think it was about 200 people,
Yeah.
FSM citizens mostly, I think, and they were heavily in favor of FSM becoming a territory.
So I'm interested to see like if they went to like Arkansas, like man, I don't know, just in the middle of nowhere, America. And
Yeah.
what would they think about that? Like, would they think, oh, like, would they say, like, let's become a state, or anything like that? Like, how do the opinions differ?
I don't know, these conversations about political status is very interesting because it's not only like a community in Guam brought that up, but Guam Guam itself is actually looking at their political status right now,
Yeah.
like trying to go over all the different statuses that they could that they might try to vote for. CNMI, I believe they're also looking at that, and we should all be looking at it. We should revisit this every 15 or so years just to get the conversation going. What has happened since then? Where are we now? Is the relationship what we had hoped it would be when we signed that document 15, 30 years ago? You know what I mean? Like, you can't just always stay status quo. You have to question it, right?
Yeah.
And this resolution, I think the best thing out of this resolution is it brought citizens up and it made them interested in politics again. Like, well, not again, but like
More
So
involved.
it's getting
Yeah.
people engaged in civics.
yeah, not just people who are already involved, but like youngsters like us. Well, yeah, like teenagers like us. Yeah, like the younger community are like interested now because there's something at stake now. And you might have to go back. Your parents might not be able to come out
Do you
here.
guys get asked about that stuff a lot by young people, the resolution and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of questions do you guys usually get? Like, are we gonna, or like, what's that about?
I mean, because I'm also an advisor to a Micronesian club at UH, some of them do ask me these things, but I always say, I'm really not the right person to talk about. We talk about all these things, but like, I'm not fully aware of what's going on, and personal background from my own, I'm not really the right person to talk about it. So I just say, well, we just got to see what happens. If you guys want to find out, it's a really good time for all of us to be involved and just try to find out ourselves what's really happening back home and people in Guam and everywhere else.
I get like the question I think that gets asked is like, so are we gonna like not be part of the compact anymore? And I think like that's a good question, but I always find myself explaining like it's not something that can just happen. We always have to go back to the plebiscite.
Yeah.
It has to go back.
It's a
to
great
the
point.
plebiscite.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's something that just
You're not gonna wake up and not have visa-free access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important to state that.
Yeah.
Well, when the resolution first came out, Like I would have people asking me every single day for like 2-3 weeks. Yeah, I had a lady who was concerned that she might have to go back home, but she's trying to care for her children out here.
Mhm.
And will she have to leave her children? Right. So who's going to take care of her kids? They're still in grade school. And she was crying. She was in tears. And then I had to tell her, like, take it easy. Our politicians are not that crazy, right? I don't think they're crazy also. And they're not. One politician, what he said was, we have family members that live in the US also. Why would we want to do that to them, right? Our kids live out there also. So just keep that in mind. Our politicians are like our uncles, like I said, we've said it before, our uncles, our brothers, right? And what's important is to just listen. That's the most important thing. Just listen and then participate, right? If you don't like what you're hearing, get out and vote, right?
Yeah.
Do something, right? You can come in, thank you for joining us, and then we'll try to like explain these things as best to that as we know. But like this shouldn't be your first and only stop. It should be your first stop for sure, but it shouldn't be your only stop. Go out there, like ask other people, ask older people, smarter people, because there is a good conversation out there, and it affects you, it affects everyone that holds an FSM passport.
Yeah, I like to see that the government is trying to engage people about this.
Yeah.
I don't know what the outcome is, but I'm pretty sure that they're gonna have to educate people more on this issue on both sides, right?
Yeah.
Especially for the plebeian.
Yeah.
When it came to like the con stuff,
I think 2018 is when they want to.
That's when they plan to.
So we're just in the beginning stage of this, so there's gonna be a lot of questions out. There should be a lot of answers to be asked.
I just remembered the Chuuk independence movement.
Right.
I just totally remembered. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Yeah, go ahead.
They too are still moving. They've been quiet for a long time, but they haven't gone. Yeah. They're not done. I believe they've rescheduled the votes for Chuuk's independence, and this is an independence from the FSM, not from the US. I believe the wording is to be independent from the FSM so we can form a new compact with the United States. Now, I don't know, if you're from Chuuk, that concerns you. If you're from FSM, that concerns you as well. You're going to lose 50% of your population, right? You're going to lose 1/4 of your federation. That's huge. So pay attention to these things. The year to start moving is 2018. We should be moving right now, but if you're a last minute person like I am, 2018. Yeah.
See you guys in Canada.
I have Canadian relatives though.
Oh yeah,
that's cool. We'll talk about it later. You guys want to move to the next conversation or anything else on this?
Before we do, I just want to remind our audience that these are just our opinions and our views, not necessarily those of the fourth branches. They're just our own, and they're not even worth a penny. So thank you for you, but please don't sue us.
Yeah, but if you want to pay a penny for it, we'll take the penny.
Also, quickly, if those of you guys watching right now or will be watching later on, if the color seems to be like going off on and off, it's probably our camera's malfunctioning, but it's not your screen or your phone or whatever. It's on our end, so please. Sorry for that.
Put on your 3D glasses, guys. Get ready.
All right. So, anything else? FSM resolution?
No. Well, not really FSM resolution, but then kind of going off of how our people vote and stuff. There was that bill that got introduced in the marshals recently about possibly eliminating votes from overseas. So postal voting, is that what it's called?
What?
Yeah.
Absentee ballot?
That's pretty
absentee voting, yeah.
So people overseas, their votes won't count for the marshals.
It's important to note that, one, it's just a bill.
Yeah.
2, absentee ballots decided most of the votes in the marshals this time around. So there seems to be some heavy politics at play right here. Marshallese population outside of the Marshall Islands.
Arkansas being one of the biggest population.
Biggest outer island.
Actually, this is something that a lot of island nations need to pay attention to.
Yes, that's an excellent point. Yeah, because just looking at Chuuk State, right, and give it a few more years, most of the Chuukese people will not be living in Chuuk, right? Guam is already like that. Most of the Guamanians don't live in Guam, and we're going to be like countries of, you know, expatriates. It's interesting.
Well, is that with climate change too,
Yeah,
and all this?
it's a lot of stuff.
It's gotta be something. Pay attention, guys.
That's kind of interesting, though. It's like citizens that don't actually live in their country will decide the leaders of that country that they don't live in. I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting argument to make. I don't know if I like
Technically,
support
we're
it.
all still citizens, though.
That's true.
So
I mean, living there or not, what the politics, I mean, the politicians back home, whatever decide, it's going to affect the people living
voting rights, it's
overseas.
like a
Yeah.
basic
Yeah, that's one of
voting,
your
like a citizen's
biggest-
right.
Yeah. But it's also interesting because I was having a conversation with someone from home, from Chuuk, and then they were talking about the Chuuk independence, and then they said it should only be. I believe they also tried this at one point. It should only be the Chuukese citizens living in Chuuk who vote for Chuuk's independence. And their argument was, we're the ones staying at home. We're the ones facing all these challenges, these difficulties. Why should the Chuukese citizens not living here decide our fate, right? So that's an interesting argument as well.
I mean, it makes sense, but then it's also
Yeah.
our
You-
country.
Yeah, you have to. You're talking about like ending like voting.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most basic. That's one of the most basic like requirements for a democracy.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
They're gonna take out their rights, and then the people actually there until there's nobody left to vote.
Ay.
Just like the dictator's vote counts.
Should we move on?
Yes.
Okay. Staying in the realm of politics.
Oh yeah.
Let's go national. Let's go U.S. Trump.
Oh, big
Yeah.
news. Big news.
Big news. Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Why are we talking about Trump? What does he have to do with us? Well, he has a very interesting immigration policy. Well, he actually hasn't really explained it well. But anyways, his stance on immigrants is very stark, and he's not very pro-immigrants. But there was a Civil Beat article. Civil Beat is a news outlet here in Hawaii, and they Donald Trump won the
caucus here.
the Hawaii caucus here. So he was the Republican Party in Hawaii's choice. So he won. So Civil Beat went to interview the Trump supporters. And in that get-together, that rally, one of the Trump supporters said a very interesting quote and had to do with immigration. Russell, do you have that quote?
Yes, just before I say her quote, though, just a quick paragraph before her quote, too. Her name is Christine Sutton. There are a few checks on immigration today, she said, and in her industry, she works at Queen's Medical Center.
Queen's Medical Center is a hospital.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the biggest one on Oahu.
She said she sees recent immigrant groups such as Micronesia taking advantage of the services available to them on the islands. She acknowledges that the U.S. has a historical relationship with Micronesia that justifies their visa-free status, but she feels a clinic, she said. They come for stupid things. They come for stupid things like not having bowel movements for a couple of days. Why is getting slammed for taking care of them? Why aren't other states taking the burden off Hawaii? End quote.
Heavy.
Yeah.
So she said, what was that thing? They're coming in for stupid things like not having a bowel movement.
A couple of days.
And she's a nurse. Okay. My head hurts.
I think part of it too is that the way our insurance works too.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just tell you to go to the ER,
Yeah.
and
No,
then
it
you
is.
get reimbursed
Right.
later. They do the paperwork because you
Yeah.
can't just like schedule
Right. Yeah.
stuff.
Going into the ER though, why is that a burden? It's because it costs more money.
Yeah.
It costs the state, right?
Yeah.
She's a nurse.
Mhm.
It's crazy. I think the thing about Trump is he's really uh, encouraged this kind of he's encouraged this kind of language, like anti-PC, politically correct language. Like you should speak your, you know, your mind, which we don't have a problem with. That's what we're doing right now, right? And
Free
people,
speech.
yeah, people can say anything they want. Like it's freedom. However, she's a nurse, right? She has to work with Micronesians here and again, and obviously she has worked with Micronesians here and again, and she has some interesting views about Micronesians. And should she be working? Should she have those kind of views when she has that job? And I don't know anything else you guys want to say.
They're allowed to have their views, I think, but I think people in certain professions like medicine,
Yeah.
police, we usually tend to hold them to a higher standard of ethics,
Right. Yeah.
and maybe that's not. Maybe that is not the case here, or maybe it is. I'm not sure, but certainly I think, especially if they're just coming to Hawaii and they don't know much about anything.
She herself is an immigrant to Hawaii. Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But they don't know what, like, maybe they don't know what not having a bowel movement for a few days. Maybe that to them is an emergency.
That's a nurse. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's
I mean, no, for like the Micronesians going into the ER, it might be really scary for them, and they don't know how to navigate through these
Yeah.
systems.
Yeah, that's right.
So, is it stupid? I don't think so.
To her it is.
Yeah, to
I
her.
mean, because she has a background in medical field, so to her it might seem stupid, but for anyone, a regular person, something is small could be very
But then again,
scary for us.
if you don't have a bowel movement for a few days, you should go to the hospital, because that could mean something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, like
Yeah. But that, like in the she mentions like immigrants coming in taking advantage of the services. Like we're allowed to use these services.
yeah,
I mean that's part of our
I think
agreement.
that's one of the big things in there. Like, but then prior to her quote, she also says something like, or in that quote, she says, "Why aren't other states
taking the
like
burden.
taking the burden also?" And she's referring to us not having access to Medicaid and Medicare, and that goes back to 1996 when they reformed
Right.
the healthcare reform, and we're not eligible for those. And yeah, I think she has a point there. She didn't word it well, but yeah, it's no.
Free speech.
No, it's that was a very unfair reform on our part. Yeah. But anyways, following her quote, a petition was created to. What exactly was the petition? It was to bring awareness to Queen's Medical.
Yeah, it
that
was
one of their employees.
It was not to target this individual, but just more of telling the Queen's Medical Center that this type of behavior shouldn't be in a professional level environment, such as a hospital. So they're just pushing this petition is just really pushing to kind of be more sensitive and aware of matters like this, like racial discrimination type of thing.
Yeah, the petition. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the petition calls for them to organize something about like training for
Sensitivity.
discrimination and racial sensitivity and stuff like that.
And the petition is not asking Queen's Medical to fire her or
No,
suspend her.
no,
That's
no.
not what it is. It's saying there's one of your employees has these views, and it's not healthy to have those views as a nurse. So probably look into it.
Yeah. Serve everybody, man. First, do no harm, guys.
Yeah, check out the petition. We'll have a link.
But I think since we're talking about Trump and all this stuff too, there's a lot of Micronesians out there that are U.S. citizens.
Yes.
Your votes count. So
yeah, I think your votes matter now more than they ever. Yeah.
So
yeah,
if you're synced, yeah, if you guys are of voting age,
18.
go register and make your vote count. I don't care
Yeah.
who you vote for, but just vote. Make our voices heard. Make the people know that we are a big part of this community here in America.
Right.
Yeah, it's just even one person can make a huge difference on things like this. So imagine all the community, like all the Micronesian
Mhm.
communities that are U.S. citizen. You guys have a part to really make or break your own community too. So
You might get the day off or to go vote.
Yeah.
please
It's a good
vote.
excuse, I think. and most of these people are the youngsters. These are the youth. The parents probably moved out here,
Yeah.
moved out to the U.S., had them some years back. Now they're 18, 19, voting age, and so think about that. You could be voicing your parents' opinions in your vote. So vote for Bernie Sanders.
Vote too, just because like
No, it's-
if something does happen your way or not, then you can say like at least I.
You took part
Yeah.
in
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Because especially if it's not something you like and you didn't vote, like
yeah.
it's your fault.
Think of it this way: like 10 years from now, you'll be looking back like, "Whoa, all those people got deported, and I could have done something." But that's pretty extreme. But think about it.
It would be like, man, why didn't that guy vote? And like, well, we're in our jail cell.
It's your fault. No. Okay. You guys have anything else to add?
Yeah, Trump's really interesting.
He's interesting.
But yeah, his rhetoric, he got endorsed by some people in Guam too, right? Guam and Mariana.
Mariana's.
Mariana's.
Yeah.
I think they voted for,
Interesting.
or no, yeah, he had some endorsements there. So if you're in Guam and Saipan also, you
Yeah, you
get
can.
involved. I don't know if you guys caucus or what you guys do over there, but get involved with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, like I think it's if we want to be fair to the Trump supporters, also they also voted. They didn't just vote for him because of his stance on immigration. They also like his trade policies. He doesn't really have one. Never mind. I'm sorry. And they like him because he's a non-establishment candidate, right? He's not a politician. He's not a typical politician, so that's why they like it. They gravitate towards that. So just to be fair to them, yeah, it wasn't just immigration.
Do your research. Do your due diligence.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys probably hear all the crazy stuff happening at like Trump's rally.
Trump rallies.
Mhm.
But yeah, just find out more about each of these individuals.
Everybody's always talking about Trump, but also check out like Bernie Sanders or Hillary
That's it.
Clinton.
No, just
Bernie
Bernie
Sanders.
Sanders.
Okay.
Feel the burn.
Check out the other candidates. Like turn off the TV when Trump comes on because he's on there all the time.
Yeah, and be smart about it also. People will tell you, like us, we'll tell you what we think, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if a promise or what. I'll just say this. I'm going to tell you what I think, right? I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm going to say what I think and what I feel. And other people, be careful because they're getting paid to say certain things. So just, be active. Be smart about your...
We don't
How
get
you
paid
look at
at all, so
Exactly. So think about that.
Freedom of speech.
Okay.
All right, cool. Good talk.
Yeah, that was... Okay, let's get out of politics. Our last talk for today, in the spirit of March 8th, which was International Women's Day,
Mhm.
let's talk about women.
Yeah.
March is here. We're in March, yeah. And we are not women.
You're not.
It's probably not right to be the ones talking about them, but I don't know. There's a topic that I'm going to bring up.
Feminism is for everybody. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There was a topic that was on Facebook that was really,
Kind of stirred up a little
yeah,
conversation.
it was a pretty big conversation actually.
About gender equality.
Gender equality, yeah.
Okay.
So very quickly, the topic or the discussion was in certain areas of FSM, Yap and Chuuk, women have to kneel when they're in the presence of their male relatives. Is this a practice that we should keep? Because it seems like some people believe it's oppressive
Mhm.
to women. So what do you guys think? First of all, have you guys ever seen that, experienced it?
Yes.
You're from Yap?
I've seen it. I've seen it, but personally, I think everybody should bow down to me when I walk by.
Oh my god.
No, I'm just kidding. But seriously though, like, I'm not sure because I think part of it is, I think when it first started, it was for a very good reason. Like when the OGs, like this, like, hey, we want to do this thing. I think it was all understood, and I think just down the many years of like understanding the practice, it just became a practice that they forgot why. You know,
Interesting.
I think the practice is just there, not really the understanding of the culture behind it.
So what is it then? What's the purpose of women having kneeling in front of their male relatives? People say it's respect, but how does that represent respect?
I don't know anymore. But I feel like maybe there was like, it was somebody was like, okay, let's do this thing, and then there was some other respect that the men did for the women. Then
Very true. Yeah.
you know, I don't think it was just all take. It could have been. I'm not a historian of it, but I think that's part of it. I think the culture, like, it kind of forgot.
Yeah.
It just became just do it because that's what we're supposed to do.
I remember reading like some people were saying the purpose of women having to kneel is to respect their male relatives and to like what was that word? Incest, to prevent incest. That's what someone said.
Wow.
I'm not sure how. I guess I can understand a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing was, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, it's to also acknowledge genealogy. So like it's a way of respecting ancestry. So you're saying because they only kneel for their relatives. Yeah. So that was interesting. And you said that what do the men do like for the women, right? I don't know. I remember someone said that the men have to protect their women relatives no matter what, right? That's their covenant to their female relatives. But then again, the women have to protect their male relatives no matter what as well. So that's not really a fair. I don't think that's a fair. Yeah. But then someone told me that in Chuuk, when people get married, the man has to go to the woman's house.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So do you think that's discriminating or oppressive to the man? Yeah. And the reasoning behind that was because, you know, this is not my thinking. Someone said it's to prevent domestic violence, right? So that you can protect the woman when she's still with her family members. And when she becomes a mother, she's more comfortable because she's with her aunties and her mom and her sisters.
So that and also like the matrilineage.
Yeah.
Protecting that.
Exactly. Yeah. You're protecting that line.
Yeah.
That was interesting also. Now let's talk about that. Is that a form of oppression for men? Right? They have to go and like become a part of the woman's family.
I'm sure there are some men that would say yes.
But then I think what we have to understand is like these practices, these customs were put in place when people lived. They were born, lived, and died on an island.
Yep.
Right? So it doesn't. So you're seeing your relatives every single day for the rest of your life. So you have to have these customs in place so that there isn't any chaos. If you didn't have those, you'd be fighting the whole time. I think. I don't know.
Yeah. I think, but that you gotta put that lens on it too.
Yeah.
The historical.
Think about that. So, but now we have mobility. People are moving. We live here in Hawaii. Our relatives live in Chuuk, live in the mainland, live all over the place. So do we still need this practice? Is it still necessary? And I think for me, I'm going to be honest, I don't think we need it anymore. We don't need it anymore, but I'm not going to speak on behalf of everyone. In my household, if I have a daughter, if she wants to just run by me, it's okay, just do it. Like, it doesn't do anything. Like, that's nothing to me.
Except when you're watching TV.
Yeah, just stay on my way. No, but that's how I feel. And The other thing is the idea of cultural preservation. That's also an introduced idea, right? Like hundreds of years ago, when foreigners weren't around, we never thought, let's have a cultural preservation office. No, there was nothing like that. Cultural preservation only became important when our culture was under attack.
Yeah.
And that's when foreigners came in and they tried to eradicate our culture from us. So the reason why a lot of people are so animated and so heated when it comes to topics like this is because we've experienced oppression of our culture, a cultural degradation. So that's why we're so like up in arms when someone's saying we should get rid of this. But I still believe that culture is never the same. 100 years ago, the culture was not the same. 200 years ago, the culture wasn't the same. 100 years from now, guess what? The culture won't be the same. Right?
What?
Exactly. But if it is, then that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
But my thing or my point is, and I know I've been talking a lot. I'm going to finish right here.
Okay.
My point is, culture needs to have an organic change. It needs to change organically. It shouldn't be forced to change. But the way it should be changed organically, I believe, is the people who practice it, the people who have a history of that culture are the only ones who can change it, right? And this discussion needs to happen in order for that change, that organic change to occur. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm sorry if I offended people.
That's a good point on talking about organic change. I think like a good example of organic change in our culture is really the language right now. For me, it's just like,
Excuse me.
For example, a lot of the Micronesian languages do include a lot of Japanese phrases and words that are now part of our own language that most people don't know about, that they were originally introduced by the Japanese people.
Right.
So like that kind of change is, I think, it's a healthy change. Like you're not forcing things. And most of those things were introduced to us, so it had to be a part of our language. But then there are things like, I don't know, I'm just like going.
No, that's a good one, yeah.
And also going off of the whole kneeling part, and I believe religion was part of the whole thing
that's right,
too.
yeah.
So just with anything, like you can't pick and choose on both sides of the thing.
Yeah.
Religion or culture.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't say this because in the Bible it says this and this and this and that. You can't do this and this and that.
Right.
And because or like in our culture it says this and this and that, so you can't do this and this and that. But then that's what I mean by you can't pick and choose what to do and what not to do. I believe there needs to be a balance somewhere that creates an organic change.
You have to be fluid. You can't just say this is it no matter what.
Forever.
Yeah.
Well, I think this kind of calls back to our discussion about muumuus.
Yeah.
Very much. And
which was an introduced culture.
Yeah, other one. But I think the heart of this debate or discussion really has to do just with equality for men and women.
Right.
In like we live in modern society now, and I think our people who are really strong adherents to preserving our culture feel under attack by it.
Yeah.
But I think framing it that way is a little off. I think if your culture doesn't have room to allow both men and women to be equal, then there's something wrong there. And that's what really needs to be fixed. And that's a problem with the culture, which I think is really like, whoa, did he just say that? But there are times when cultures can be wrong and bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there are cultures that eat people. I mean, you don't agree with it, but then what? Just let them keep eating people?
At a certain time in history, that was necessary.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary
We don't
anymore.
need to do that.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents about it.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested in getting more women's opinions in these talks. So I think this is a good time to invite people, most especially women, whether you were born one or not, to come into this discussion and really add your 2 cents, because we're just 3 guys talking about women. And we probably collectively don't know.
And we'll probably talk about women after this. No, I'm sorry.
The 3 of us don't know much about women anyway.
Mhm.
So, but I think it's important that men also talk about this too, though.
Yeah,
Because
because in this context, men are the oppressors, so they are part of this discussion.
so you just heard our opinions on it. So
I mean, I'm all for gender equality.
Yeah.
But as far as cultural practices go, I think it's really up to that individual and the family if they want to keep practicing that, but also at the same time practice or stand up for gender equality somewhere else too, and like outside their homes.
It's all
I
about
don't know.
respect, man.
and just real quick, I wasn't equating kneeling with cannibalism. Like
Terrible.
I just realized I did that. I'm not. I'm really not. It's not the same. But
Actually, no.
But like, it's also not just women too. It's like with today's generation, there's also the question of LGBT communities in the islands too. In case what that is like
well, we can also
sexuality and
talk
stuff
about
that.
like do men have to be the one to provide?
Yeah.
Because there's definitely that pressure
Mm.
for us. So if you're thinking about equality and stuff, it's something
It's
to chew
crazy,
on.
man.
But yeah, let's.
And we can talk
We're
about
not
this.
experts on that either.
We're not.
So.
We talk about this forever. I mean,
Yeah.
men provide, women
Can't
farmed.
provide.
Yeah, they used to farm also. Like they provide for families. They did all this stuff. They decided on matters of the household. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean, women have been providing, I guess, for the longest time.
I will
Mhm.
say that our culture is very big and vibrant,
Yeah,
and women are a very big part of that.
50%.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times like it's thought of like this big thing where like the men are
Yeah.
all the way up there, but I think that's something that was introduced.
Hmm.
But I spoke to a couple of people. One of the Chuukʻs lady I spoke to, she's a social worker, and the reason why she's doing it because it's also
When you say doing it, you're talking about social work or
yeah
living?
social work.
Oh, okay.
So like the reason why she's doing that type of job is also it's kind of she said it's kind of in their nature to do so. Social work is almost like taking care of your family,
Mm.
and it comes naturally to them that to care for the people, not
Right,
just
right.
their family but the community here.
Right. Yeah. They look over the community.
Yeah, so that part of cultural aspect also goes into
Mhm.
their jobs.
Right.
Well, the state of equality, I think back home is not great.
No, it's not.
It is not. Yeah.
So I'm really hoping to hear from some of our female audience.
Yeah. It'd be good to hear some thoughts, some theories. There was I remember having this discussion also, and the idea of men having to go out, be the breadwinners. They're the ones working, women staying at home. That's an introduced idea also. And
The nuclear family.
yeah,
Mhm.
and we took that and we just thought that's probably how everything should be from now on.
Worked for America. Didn't.
Okay, cool. You guys have anything else?
We solved all the
Discrimination.
problems.
Let me just run through everything that we
Recap.
talked about. Our quick stories. Formerly homeless teen in Washington, AJ Yosuo. Heartwarming story. Look it up. Vietnamese and Indonesian immigrants in FSM. Some were brought back home. Some are still there. What's going on? Look that up. Koshran man saves family from a burning house. Yeah, sounds like the beginning of a superhero movie.
Giant Superman.
And then celebrate Micronesia here in Honolulu, coming up this Saturday, Sunday, Friday night.
Friday night,
Okay.
Saturday, Sunday.
All right. And then we went into our three main topics. First, FSM Resolution. There was a hearing over in Guam. FSM citizens got to talk to Chief of Staff. Most of them were not in favor of compact termination, but they were in favor of FSM becoming a territory of the United States. What's going on? Check that out. Trump, Civil Beat article. The Trump supporters not liking Micronesian immigrants. The nurse in the Queen's Medical Center. Check
out
that out.
that petition.
Look at the petition. If you agree with it, sign it. If you don't, do with it what you wish. And finally, March 8th, International Women's Day. Do women still need to kneel in front of their male relatives in Yap and Chuuk? Not sure. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about all these things? What do you guys think about us? What do you guys think about anything? All right, leave a comment, join the discussion. Final words?
Subscribe, like our Facebook page.
Yeah.
YouTube. YouTube.com.
Yeah. Suggest some topics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
you guys
that's
have,
always welcome.
Respond to our talk. Say why you don't like what we say. Yeah, critique it. Yeah.
Actually,
We'll quote you if
I
you like
hated
it.
what you just said.
Also, if you guys want to join us too, like we're more than welcome to have you guys on the show.
Yeah, you can join in via webcam.
As long as you agree with our.
Just kidding.
No,
No,
no.
you can totally disagree with us.
Yeah, it would be better if you don't agree with anything that we say.
Yeah.
I would just like to remind everybody watching that these are our opinions,
Yes.
not those of the fourth branches or anybody else. You may think it's just his opinion. It's just his
He
opinion,
told me what to say.
and only ours. So please don't call your lawyers because we can't afford one. And so don't sue us. And, just thank you for joining us and watching. Once again, this was another TFB Thinks episode with the three of us here.
Do you have any shout outs?
Anything?
Shout out to everybody in Micronesia.
Also a big shout out to the folks in Japan, actually, from Osaka University and Takashi Mita
Yeah.
and Greg Dvorak, one of our biggest supporters in Japan.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for using our content over at your universities, teaching the Japanese students about Micronesian issues and communities and history. Anything else you guys want to say?
And we had a good time chatting with their students.
Yeah.
We got some really good conversations out of it.
Yeah.
If you're in Hawaii and you want to chat with us, please let us know.
Yes.
If you want to use our content in your classroom, check out our YouTube page.
We
Feel
have
free.
hopefully a new video coming up soon.
Yes. Always keep an eye out.
Just one in the can a couple weeks ago. It's in post, almost ready. It's not ready yet though. It's still cooking.
It's the part 2 to our
Oh, right. Yeah. Hawaii
News
News Bias. Part 2 coming out. Yeah.
soon.
The sequel.
Very soon.
Okay. I think
that's all we
I
got.
think
We should
that's
make
all
a
we
trailer for it. They
Yeah.
said they'd be back. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.